Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja on Thursday set aside the judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja, which barred the APC from fielding candidates in consonance with the earlier decision of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). The Federal High Court gave its ruling on 25th of January on the same day that another court upheld the primaries organized by the state's chapter of the party, but a three-man panel of the appellate court described the judgment in Abuja as an abuse of court process, holding that the trial court lacked the jurisdiction to have entertained the suit. The appellate court ruling comes 1 week after Abubakar Malami, Attorney General of the Federation, asked INEC to postpone elections in Zamfara State, and Brooke Shatley Mahmood Yakubu, the INEC chairman, insisted that APC in Zamfara State would not field candidates. President Muhammadu Buhari, in a nationwide broadcast on Friday in Abuja, said all eligible voters are duty-bound to participate in electing a government that would lead Nigeria towards its finest destiny, and challenged the electorate on the need to honor their civic duty as voters by going out to the polls on Saturday to vote for their government of their choice. The president stated that elections are the cornerstone of representative governance, and voting constitutes the highest and best expression of the sovereign will of the people to choose the government that best represents them, stressing that the electorate should not allow anyone to discourage them from exercising their rights as citizens and voters on Saturday. President Buhari further urged the prospective voters not to be afraid of rumors of violence and unrest, saying that the nation's security agencies will ensure that adequate security measures were in place.
The Inspector General of Police, Adamu Mohammed, has reassured Nigerians of adequate security during Saturday's presidential and National Assembly elections. The IG gave this assurance on day 5 of the 5-day press briefing organized by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, at the INEC Situation Room, International Conference Center, Abuja. The IG said his men have been fully mobilized across all polling units in the country.
The security of the electorate, the observers, the INEC staff, the electoral materials are all secured. Maximum security is provided before the election, during the election, and after the election. In the polling booths or polling units, there will be security, at least 3 security personnel will be there to protect the electorate, protect the INEC officials, and also to protect the electoral materials.
Chairman of the electoral body, Professor Mahmood Yakub, also used the forum, which is the last in the series of briefings held by the Commission before the elections, to give a breakdown of the Commission's preparedness for the polls.
Elections will hold in 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Voting will take place in 176,973 locations, made up of 119,973 polling units and 57,023 voting points. We have engaged 825,543 ad hoc staff, ranging from presiding officers to collation and returning officers. We have mobilized 80,000 commercial vehicles and about 996 boats for the deployment of personnel and materials. And the materials include 707,892 ballot boxes and voting cubicles. And we are mobilizing these to various locations by land and sea. We have accredited 120 domestic and 36 international organizations, deploying a cumulative number of 73,000 observers. We have concluded the movement of personnel and materials to the 774 local government areas and the 8,809 registration area centers nationwide. All arrangements are now in place to facilitate the opening of polls at 8 a.m. tomorrow.
While urging Nigerians that the Commission is ready to conduct a free and fair election, the INEC chairman reiterated the need for Nigerians and all stakeholders in the electoral process to join hands with the Commission to ensure a successful transition. Present at the event were local and foreign observers, members of the diplomatic corps, and the media. Doko Emmanuel, TVN News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has finally reacted to rumors making rounds about his plans to Islamize Nigeria. In a statement signed by the spokesman to the president, Femi Adesina, the president described the reports as false and wicked, adding that he remains committed to the freedom of religion in the country. The president described the rumor as clearly intent to stoke up religious division for political gains and strongly affirmed the oath he took before the Nigerian people to faithfully defend the Constitution of Nigeria. The National Working Committee, NWC, of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, has approved the immediate expulsion of a former presidential aspirant of the party, Professor Jerry Ghana, for gross misconduct and anti-party activities. The expulsion was contained in a letter dated 12th February 2019, jointly signed by the acting national chairman of the party, Professor Tunde Adeniran, and the national secretary, Alhaji Shehu Gabban, in a statement made available to journalists on Thursday in Abuja by the SDP Director of Media and Publicity, Yemi Akimbode, said the NWC has reviewed the recent activities of Professor Ghana in the party and is constrained to invoke Article 19, subsection 4 of the party's Constitution 2018 as amended to cause the expulsion of Professor Ghana from the party. Ghana's expulsion is in line with the relevant provision of the party's constitution, even though it will be reviewed or ratified by the National Executive Council in due course. Akimbode further stated that the window of appeal by Ghana, which should have happened within 5 days of the receipt of the letter by Professor Ghana, has lapsed.
MFM FC extended its advantage at the top of the Nigerian Professional Football League to 4 points Wednesday with a 2-0 defeat of Sunshine Stars in a match-day 10 Southwest derby played at the Agege Stadium. However, the highlight of the match-day 10 fixtures was the threat by Edo State Deputy Governor Philip Shaibu to pull out Benden Insurance from the MPFL if the league management company fails to correct the injustice meted to the Edo Arsenal in 3 league matches. Insurance was held 1-1 by visiting Rivers United, but the deputy governor, who is a registered player for the Edo team, insisted a clean goal scored by his team was disallowed. Mike Ugu scored the curtain raiser for Insurance in the 13th minute, while O.C. Martins grabbed an equalizer for the visitors from Port Harcourt 4 minutes after the break. Now Insurance, with 8 points from 8 matches, are 8th on the 12-team Group A log, with a return to the lower league staring the Edo Arsenal in the face. Only 3 matches are left before the halfway mark of the abridged 2018-2019 MPFL season. Super Eagles assistant captain Ahmed Musa will be available for next month's African Cup of Nations qualifier against Seychelles, an international friendly with Egypt. The winger has not featured for his Saudi Arabian Professional Football League team since January 3 due to a serious thigh injury which raised doubts over his participation in the national team's matches. The latest update from his club, Al Nassr, indicates that Musa has resumed full training with the German, preparing his squad list for the first 2 fixtures of 2019. About a month ago, The former Leicester City star was granted compassionate leave and traveled to Nigeria following the death of his beloved mother. The 26-year-old has not featured for Al Nassr in their last 8 games across all competitions. A Lagos State High Court sitting at Igboshire yesterday issued a bench warrant for the arrest of former Super Eagles star Austin Okocha, popularly known as JJ Okocha, for failure to appear in court to answer why he allegedly failed to pay his income tax. The Lagos State prosecutor, Dr. Jide Martins, had on June 6, 2017 filed a charge, but when the case came up on October 5, 2017, the defendant did not appear in court. Consequently, after several adjournments without the defendant appearing in court when service has been effected on him, the prosecutor urged the court to issue a bench warrant. Justin Adedayo Akintoye on January 29, 2019 issued a bench warrant for the arrest of ex-Super Eagles star and adjourned till February 19. However, on the adjourned date, prosecution informed the court that the warrant had not been effected on the defendant. At yesterday's proceedings, Justice Akintoye further adjourned the case to April 15 for the execution of the bench warrant and further hearing.
Hello Nigerians, it's one day to the 2019 presidential elections and we're here right on the streets of Abuja in the Area 1 area, and if you look around you discover that it's a peaceful atmosphere. People are going around their normal businesses, nobody's being harassed. Nigerians are ready to go to the polls. Today we're taking to the streets to seek the views of Nigerians on how prepared they are to go to the polls tomorrow to choose the leader of their choice. Hello Mr. Curry.
Yes.
Welcome, my brother.
Good afternoon.
Alpha.
I'm good.
Tomorrow is election day, sir.
Yes.
Are you going to be voting, sir?
Actually, I'm going to be voting.
Okay.
Yes.
Now you mean you're armed with your PVC?
I have my PVC on me.
Are you going to this election? What do you wish to see? What do you wish? What are your wishes?
Well, my wishes is that I expect all Nigerians, both old, young, to all come out and vote for the leader of their choice.
Tomorrow is election day, sir. Are you going to vote?
Yes, I'm going to vote.
All right. So what are your expectations for tomorrow's election? What do you want to see differently?
I just want to see the election free and fair.
Free and fair.
Yes.
No violence.
No violence, nothing.
What are your wishes for Nigeria? What's your advice to other fellow Nigerians listening to you right now? What do you wish them? How do you expect them to behave themselves tomorrow?
Just coordinate themselves, no violence. Shikena.
So tomorrow is election day, sir.
Yes, of course.
I want to inquire from you. Are you going to be at the polls tomorrow, sir?
I will, hopefully. Yeah.
So how, so far so good. What's the message to Nigerians as we go to the polls tomorrow?
Well, I'm urging everybody, irrespective of your ethnic group or ethnic background, that there should be no sentiment when you come to casting your vote. Cast your vote to somebody that you trusted, that you know will move Nigeria to the next level.
I want to ask you, sir, tomorrow is election.
Yeah.
Are you going to be voting for tomorrow in tomorrow's election, sir?
Yeah, that is for sure. I'm going out to vote tomorrow for election.
So now, what are your expectations from the polls tomorrow? What do you expect?
So what I'm expecting, at least we already see the good one, and we expect more good one for the next level, by special grace of God.
Yeah, what should be done tomorrow is that people should just go outside and cast their votes. No violence, no nothing of such manner. Just cast your vote and go home and wait for the results.
By the eve of the presidential election,
yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
First of all, let me ask you, are you going to be voting tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be voting. I have my PVC.
You have a PVC.
Yeah.
All right. So, what is your expectations tomorrow? What do you expect? How do you expect INEC, Secretary of Police, and every other body that's involved in this election, even the electorate, even yourself, to coordinate themselves tomorrow?
Well, I expect everybody to follow the instructions that have been put on ground. I personally, I'll be going to vote, and I wouldn't be having much time, so I'll be going back home to do some other things. But every other person, if you are staying around, stay peacefully, stay calmly, allow the electoral officers to do their work, and the security operatives too. They should just be calm and then carry everything out according to the law, and not be violent against the electorate, and not put scare in us, because we are in a democracy society.
Tomorrow, Nigerians head to the polls. Are you going to be participating in the elections tomorrow?
Yes,
okay.
I will.
So what are your expectations? What do you think should be done? What are your expectations? What do you expect tomorrow from INEC and all the relevant agencies and security operators and all Nigerians?
I expect every one of them to be at their duty posts and make sure they deliver well. To make the election credible, without violence. For the security people, at least they should try to be in place to make sure that there is no violence. If there is any violence coming up, they should try to calm it down.
What are your advice to those people that are planning to derail this election, those people that might be planning to steal ballot boxes and all that? What advice do you have for them?
They don't need to do that if they love their life. I believe in God so much, so I believe that everyone should submit to the will of God. We need to do our own and let God do the rest.
Tomorrow is election.
Yeah.
All right. Are you going to be voting tomorrow?
Sure, I'm going to vote tomorrow. It's my right.
All right. So what are your expectations? What do you expect to see differently? How do you expect INEC, the electorate, the police, everybody that's involved, even yourself, to conduct themselves in tomorrow's polls?
Well, left to me, I felt tomorrow should be the greatest moment of our time in Nigeria, because I believe that we are now mature. Nigeria, we are no more dollars. Gone are those days when a politician just come and tell us cock and bull stories and we just buy them. This time around, we are all wise now. What's his name called? The general of army that was asked to unleash whatsoever they said they should unleash on people. You shouldn't do that. You should use his sense. You are meant to carry out order, legitimate orders. You are meant to protect these citizens, not to kill them. If anybody is by any chance breaking the rules, there are rules of engagement. There are ways to go about it. Not just you open fire in the crowd. You understand? So I believe that tomorrow there should be peace tomorrow. The police should maintain the peace and order. Everybody should just maintain the peace. Both citizens of Nigeria, please, let's vote safe. Let's vote wise. No fighting, no violence of any form. Thank you very much, bro.
Now you felt the pulse of the people. The general consensus here is that Nigerians are ready and are eager to go to the polls. Now one thing is clear and very instructive. Nigerians want a free and fair elections. Now that's the much we have for you from the streets on TVN. Thanks for staying with us.
No, it can't be postponed because we have the assurance, we've heard it here and there. It has gone all over that tomorrow is election. And we are ready for the election tomorrow. So nothing can stop us and nothing can stop the election.
Definitely, to some people, there is a kind of a talk that going on everywhere, so rampant that people are contemplating about that tomorrow, because the way the last postponement took place, it was so unplanned. It was something that nobody expected. So we are still with that fear, the aftermath of the postponement. You now see what is happening. That a lot of things happening around, but now they are convinced that tomorrow there will not be any possibility of postponement any longer.
That would be so disappointing. No? It will be so disappointing, though I know it's not going to be like that, because the INEC chairman has given an assurance to Nigerians that what happened last Saturday wouldn't happen again.
After the one that they do last week, and Nigerian people are not happy, they will do it again. It's no good now.
Actually, it will be terrible, madam, if they postpone this election this time around, because we are ever ready. The last time there was a disappointment, but now everybody is ready for the election.
Well, anyhow, we don't postpone the election the first time. This second time it will not work, my sister.
It's not sure election will be postponed again, since it has been postponing. We are set for the election, so there won't be any need for the election to be postponing again.
This program is reaching you from our television Nigerian studio, Guzape, Abuja, Nigeria. This is where we'll be extracting issues that pertain to the polity, especially to the 2019 general elections. And of course, I'm not here alone. I have some guests with me who are also journalists. You want to find out who my guest is, then sit back and relax. We will be right back. With me in the studio is a journalist. His name is Toby Prince. Toby Prince, welcome to the program. Nice, and also we have Mr. Bernard Atta. He's also a journalist. You are welcome to the program, Mr. Bernard.
Thank you.
Let me start with you, Mr. Bernard. From February 16 and now 23rd of February for the presidential and National Assembly elections. How did you get the news, or how did you receive this news on the day it was postponed?
Well, it's a very sad thing that the election has to be postponed. For me, I got the news at about 4 a.m. in the morning, when most people have traveled to their various states to go and vote their choice, their candidates. Yeah. You know, because of how sudden the news came, most people were stranded in their various locations and their states where they went to vote. You know, most people couldn't even go to work on that particular day. So even to me, I didn't go out. That day was virtually useless to me. And I can say that for almost 50% of Nigerians who have traveled to go and vote on that day, who abandoned their businesses, closed their shops, and thinking they were going to vote on that day, and it didn't come to happen. So that day was just totally useless for Nigerians. Weddings were postponed, birthdays, naming ceremonies, several events were postponed because of the occasion, the election, and now it's not holding. It has been shifted to February 23rd. Well, let's see what will happen. Okay, I just pray INEC does not shift the election again.
Okay, that was quite unfortunate. Look, Mr. Toby, looking at this issue, many people want to say there has always been a trend, because this isn't the first time we are having elections postponed. It happened back then in 2015, and now it's happening again. And to you, did you see this coming, or you felt there could be a change of time, looking at how prepared INEC is for this election?
Personally, I would say I saw it coming. Okay. You know, PDP gave a clue of what was coming. I think 2 days before, Fayoshi tweeted and was like, the INEC are not ready for the election and stuff like that. So we were anticipating the breaking story, actually. You know, I stayed up till around 1 a.m. waiting for the news to break, because all over social media you hear people saying it was mere speculation as at then. So it was forthcoming anyway. So we already anticipated that what we waited for was when the news was going to break. And that was what affected Nigerians the most, because had the news come, or had we gotten the news like 2 days before, there will not be much shock. But the news broke in the early hours of the day. Myself, as an instance, I had to, as I said, I stayed awake till 1 a.m. waiting for the news and slept off. So I woke up by 7 a.m. and everywhere was just noisy. And so it's actually a trend, and it's a sad tale that it is happening.
Okay, Ben, how about looking at the perception of INEC? They are claiming that, of course, there were card groups, smart card reader that was burned down in some offices. We're looking at about 2-3 states that were affected, and also looking at the fact that some sensitive materials were not at the stipulated areas for where people are supposed to come and vote. How about looking at from their own angle, and not necessarily that they wanted to intentionally botch the election?
Okay, looking at it from that angle, you could say that they had those incidents happened some days before the election, if I am correct, and they had the luxury of more than 2 days, 3 days to postpone the election. And there was an interview I watched on a TV show. The INEC chairman stated that at about Friday, he was still claiming that INEC is ready for the election. So the news is very, very surprising, because they had days to break the news, only for them to break it some 6 hours to election. So looking at it from that perspective, I think they had days to make that decision.
So you know that wasn't really acceptable by you, right?
Well, not really by me, by most Nigerians. A lot of people are questioning it. Many people see it as an act to rig the election. But let's
okay, talking about rigging, we'll just have to just deal with the issues of the moment. And Mr. Bernard, Mr. Toby, sorry, I would want to find out from you. Okay, now this has been postponed and the date being rescheduled. Let's look at the vote apathy. Would this postponement, do you think Nigerians will want to maybe now find the time to come out, or do you think they will take INEC serious this time around?
Personally, I think I don't want to be. Okay, let me put it this way. I think it's going to affect the turnout on that day. You know, Nigerians already decided to come out en masse to either for the ruling opposition. Nigerians already had their minds fixed already on voting.
That was
on the 16th. Some had to travel long distances to carry out their franchise, and at the end came back home. And so the postponement had already affected voters, because some that traveled back to their areas, they are back to their base, and some, even though still waiting for the election, this forthcoming election, they'll have this fear of going to vote. So I think definitely to affect the turnout on that day. Yeah.
Okay, let's look at, Mr. Bernard, let's look at the things that may likely to, shape these upcoming elections. And for you, okay, looking at the candidates we have, and of course all focus are based on two contenders, which is Atiku Abubakar and Muhammadu Buhari. How about other contenders? Don't you think they may also have the leverage to, of course, win this election, aside from these two people that I've made mention of?
Okay, as you and I know, the two major parties in this country is the PDP, the People's Democratic Party, and the All Progressive Congress, which is APC. Those are the two major parties in this country. Now, every other party has the same right, the same chance to campaign and to win the election. But as the case is right now, it's a 50-50 chance for PDP and APC. I think I could safely say so.
Okay, Toby, what's your thought about that? The candidates?
As you asked, I think these other parties are lightweight. They don't have the structure that the APC and the PDP they have at the moment.
In terms of?
In terms of longevity, in terms of finance, that's funding, and so many aspects. Now, the only way those parties would have, apart from the ruling party and the main opposition, the only way, as when we had something of a coalition, that was what Ezekwesili was trying to propose. As we had a coalition, Showore, this Durotoi, so we had a coalition of all these parties. Just bring out a candidate, they might be able to challenge. But as it stands, honestly, I don't see them coming up with anything. In fact, it's just a two-horse race.
We'll be right back. Let's stay tuned.
You don't do. I don't tire for all the things where you dey yarn.
You dey yarn no pattern. Shey you think say na only you fit buga? I go show you.
This matter don't pass, be careful. You dey show yourself all these years, I just dey look you. This time, you go know the kind of person we are.
I've been the watch as you dey try scatter my future.
The future where I dey try
organize for myself.
Small. Na him you dey try kill, abi?
Not to kill, scatter, and destroy my pearls always the agenda, abi? Oh, but you know, Fito, not this time.
I don't set my own agenda.
I know how way your agenda go fit past my agenda.
Because my agenda strong past your agenda.
For this election, the agenda now.
It's our future.
No violence.
Just vote.
Set the agenda for this election. No violence, just vote.
Mr. Bernard, looking at the security apparatus, and only recently the president made some statements, and to which people from opposition parties have been saying that the president has directly given the security agencies go ahead to shoot at sight in view of people who may be or alleged to or seen snatching ballot papers. What are your thoughts looking at the statement of the president?
Okay, I think the president made that statement from his like a personal opinion, because the INEC chairman has countered that opinion. The INEC chairman said that anybody seen snatching ballot boxes should be arrested and charged according to the electoral law. So I see that statement as the president's own opinion, as the case may seem to him, because I really go with the INEC chairman that anybody seen snatching ballot boxes should be arrested and prosecuted according to the electoral law. Yes, not directly shot.
You seem to have forgotten that the president is the commander-in-chief, and he has the power to, I don't know how to put it though, but that statement wasn't directed to Nigerians. That is what is causing the whole uproar. It wasn't directed to Nigerians, although from his miscreants, those actually hiding under the shade of these guys of IPOB, Boko Haram, and even opposition parties. So personally, I think the president's statement, his order, threat was spot on. If we indeed want a credible election in this country, serious measures have to be taken. And one of those measures
serious measures, but not extreme measures.
Well, looking at the constitution, for me, if the president is giving that kind of go-ahead, that means it's really not encouraging, because I know there are some people that will always want to say, yes, the president did the right thing by giving such a standing order, but not forgetting that we have the electoral law there, and of course we are also operating in democracy where there's separation of power. Of course, that was why Barramont said power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. If the president has the absolute power to give a statement or an order that please shoot at sight whoever is found snatching ballot paper, then that means it's something that we really need to really think about. And well, I just hope that nobody snatches the ballot paper and everything should be present. Okay, let's look at how prepared INEC is. Finally, before we go, how prepared INEC is. How do you think? Did you feel INEC is this time around prepared to execute the February 23rd date?
The INEC has come out to say that they weren't prepared on the 16th, which is last week Saturday. And they have assured Nigerians that the election is going to hold on the coming Saturday, February 23rd. So we just have to take their word to the bank and hope they are really prepared, as I said. Because going by the facts, before the election was postponed on February 16th, they had more than 1 year, according to the president. They had more than 1 year to prepare for the election, and still yet postponement. So we just have to go with their word.
To put it in plain terms, I would say INEC, they are still not ready for the election. They are still not ready for the election. Yes, take a look at some of the reasons the INEC boss gave. He gave logistics, which we all understand, and he said weather condition. So I don't understand. It has not rained, so you know. So personally, I still feel INEC they are still short of their preparation is still short, and they might not be able to give us a credible, free and credible election as most Nigerians actually anticipate or want. Okay,
you're looking at that it could be an election, but not free, not credible.
Yes, and you know, some of the issues that will still arise is this issue of the card reader issues.
Yes.
Uncollected PVCs. And still some PVCs that were supposed to be ready are not ready up till date. You know, so these are some of the issues that INEC they are yet to address those issues, and it will still count on that election day.
As well as smart card readers. And let's not forget that these smart card readers are not something that is being produced in Nigeria. And then it therefore means that we'll have to still wait for God knows how long and how prepared they are. But really, we really want them to be prepared this time around and not just, you know, breaking the hearts of Nigerians as far as coming to force to do your constitutional duties. Okay, looking at the issues that will shape the security, the success of this election, one fundamental thing is security, which we have just discussed. And the last time is the service chiefs, the service chiefs as well as other security agencies, they met last week at the defense headquarters. Of course, there wasn't any time for one or people to ask questions. All they did was to, you know, give their issues, their statements, and of course warnings to those who are not even supposed to be there. Of course, they also talked about the issue of people who are planning to botch the elections. They made mention about the iPod people, you know, just trying to send a strong warning to them. I don't know how prepared really they are, especially talking about security aspect of this election.
For the issues that will actually shape the elections, you know, apart from security, the Boko Haram crisis that Leah Sharibu still, we are yet to hear about the Leah Sharibu. There's still some elements of insurgency in the northeast. I heard yesterday that, today, that some states, the president met with State Governor Borno and I think Adamawa, so still because of, there are still crisis in some parts of the northeast. This is an issue that would shape the success of this election. That is one of the opposition main campaign promise. Apart from this security, restructuring.
Restructuring, yeah.
President Buhari has paid deaf ears to restructuring, and that is what the opposition, Atiku Abubakar, is leveraging on. He has promised to restructure Nigeria immediately he comes to power, which we know apparently it's going to be.
But that doesn't really mean by
it's a politician's promise. No, restructuring means different things to different people anyway. Yes. But this is what, especially the southern part, they are clamoring for. You know, and he is willing to give to them. So I think this is another issue that will determine the success of this election. And I still think the economy, have we done better? Have we improved under this administration? And Nigeria is happy, and Nigeria is eating. You know, what is the exchange rate? I read somewhere, I think, before the current administration, we had, it was around 150 to $1.
And even the popular food, the staple food, which is rice, people are claiming is from 16 and now 27,000. But really, is the president the cause of all this? He's the one that hijacked all these prices.
Mr. Ben, what do you think? Like today, we know how food stuff, the inflated prices now. Yes. Who do we hold accountable? My mother or my father?
No. The truth is that there are different economic factors to these things. Like, you wouldn't directly blame the president. Like, for instance, if you take a look at the price of crude oil per barrel during the PDP administration, is far lesser than now. I think it's...
You seem to have forgotten that the president promised to diversify, and you're still buttressing on...
Let's not forget that he's even the petroleum minister, which he should do something.
It is, which the government is even trying to diversify. For instance, I traveled to my village this December. I thought that if I mention the present administration to those elder statesmen, elders in my village, they would say no Buhari, but surprisingly, they are even the one campaigning for Buhari, that he has brought them, aided their agriculture, that he gives them fertilizer and all those kind of things.
Okay, pull up question for you. Let's quickly round up because we're actually running out of time. Now, do you foresee another postponement? A pull-up question, yes or no?
That question is a dicey one, because the INEC have told us to wait until 23rd. So we just have to wait until 23rd. Yes.
Okay, and you, sorry, do you foresee any?
I don't, but I think some states will be postponed. Maybe 3 or 4 states.
Probably.
Yes.
Probably. Well, let me leave the thought for you to, you know, have how you're gonna still deliberate that. But this is where we'll be drawing the curtain. And this has been the program today. This is where we'll be drawing the curtain. Let's not forget that peace is priceless, terror is senseless. Let's give peace a chance, especially in this 2019 general election. For me and the rest of our crew, it's bye for now.
Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Yakubu Mahmoud, today while addressing a stakeholders conference in Abuja, threw more light on the causes for the extension, or rather the postponement of 2019 presidential election, which were earlier scheduled to hold on Saturday, the 16th of February. The new date now announced is 23rd of February 2019. He cited logistic reasons as the reasons for the postponement. As expected, reactions have continued to trail this move by the nation's electoral umpire. Political parties, leaders of thought across board, had expressed reservations about the reasons given by the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. And interestingly, the ruling party, the All Progressive Congress, APC, including the President Muhammadu Buhari, has expressed reservation as well to the explanations given by the Independent National Electoral Commission's chairman. The presidency, from what we gathered, have ordered an investigation into circumstances surrounding that move, which has thrown a lot of dust right now in the politics. These are some of the issues we'll be looking at on this episode of Nigeria Today. I am Charles Ibe. Welcome on board. Now, to do justice to this topic today with me on set, I have a politician and a public affairs analyst. He is Ilesomi Andrew. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Charlie.
Yes, thank
How
you.
are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good to see you.
Yes. Saturday, 16th of February. Many have been termed Holy Saturday, Silent Saturday, a lot of things on social media. They've described it severally, because on that day there was no wedding, there was no burial, there was nothing, there was no business, there was no movement. It was just a silent Saturday in the history of Nigeria. Starting with, how did you receive the news of that postponement?
If you look at it, we had so much assurance about this election. Tempers were high, emotions were high, everything went standstill. I'm sure there will never be a day like this again in Nigeria. But when it came, what do? Some of us have shock absorber. We expect anything. Nigeria is a wonderful country whereby if you go to sleep, if you wake up, you wake up. It means there's another day for you to forge. So an assurance is what a man gives you. He goes to bed. When he wakes up, he tells you another thing. So when Professor Mahmoud Yakub came up and said about 3 a.m. that the election was cancelled, it was a very rude shock. But he knows that, okay, Nigeria will just make noise and everything will calm down. But he had 4 years to prepare for that day. 4 years. You should put everything in place. But the shock came. What do you do? So for us now as a politician, as an analyst, we go back to our drawing board. Okay, we'll start all over again. 1 week. Sunday is gone. We have 5 more days to go. So what do? We go back to the drawing board. We re-strategize and relaunch again, hoping that there will be no another rude shock for another postponement. We are hoping, not that we are sure. that there won't be. So it came. So we just had to forge ahead. But I think it was a very big blow.
All right. Now, some people have expressed reservation, not on the announcement, but on the reaction, especially of the ruling party, the president and all of that, towards the announcement. Some have expressly expressed the fact that they believe that INEC was acting in concession with the ruling party vis-a-vis the presidency. What do you think?
Well, if you look at when the president reacted, he was also surprised.
In fact, he was even in Daura to cast.
He was in Daura in Katsina State, and all of a sudden he granted an interview, very brief one, and said he was also surprised. And all of a sudden he just took the next waiting flight back to Abuja. Well, what do we do? If you were the one, what will you say? You will say you are shocked. But for me, it looks like a calculated plan that this election should be cancelled. Because there was no reason for it to be cancelled. It's either you win or you lose. Somebody has to win the election. Whichever way it comes, a political party has to just emerge as the winner. So there was no need, but since it came, he reacted, pockets of people too reacted, the whole nation. It will not be forgotten in a hurry. Yeah. That is just what happened. So, but we had to just move on.
All right, prior to Saturday, there had been some issues, of which the INEC chairman did mention when he was addressing the stakeholders. He mentioned specifically sabotage, talking about the issue of the ballot box, PVCs that were burnt in Anambra, in Abia, and some other issues. But before then, after those incidences, he had continually assured Nigerians that they are ready. That even those instances that they have already mopped up support that will make up for the lost materials and all of that. And now, to dying minute, you now wake up and tell Nigerians that all of a sudden you are overwhelmed by the whole thing, and then the whole plan for the day was changed. Now, looking at critically, INEC, like you did mention, 4 years to plan for another election, and at the dying minute, what we have occurred. Would you vouch for INEC, given another 1 week? Would you say that come Saturday, the elections or the issues that prompted this election will not still crop up, to make sure that at the end of the day, the results are credible, free, and fair?
Charlie, let's go back to how we started. You had 4 years to plan. You failed for 4 years. You now had 1 week. How do you make up 1 week for 4 years? It's a very tough thing. You had 4 years. You planned for 4 years. The moment one election is over, you start planning for another election. You cancel what you have planned for 4 years. You now want to re-strategize for 1 week. How do you make up that? I told you from the beginning, assurance is what a man gives to you when he goes to bed. He wakes up and tells you another thing. You said you had logistic problem. So how would you make up this logistic problem in 4 years, in 1 week? What you have failed for 4 years, you want to make up for 1 week. It doesn't work that way. If all the things he has put in place didn't work for 4 years, how will he work for this 1 week, Saturday to another Saturday? Now, the trust now is that, are we going to have what we have? The confidence, the people that travel, the people that were not 18 years, 4 years ago, that have turned 18 years, the youth corps members that were left in the cold, would they want to do that same thing? People who were craving to be an ad hoc staff, people who got stranded all over the nation. How do you reconvince them that, okay, let us do it all over again? Is it that you want to take advantage of the whole world? Look at Nigeria is a country whereby if Nigeria should sneeze, the whole world catch cold. Not just Africa. You know that. So, but like, let's still give him, let's not throw the baby away with the bathwater. Let's still give him another chance, hoping that he can make up, excuse me, for the breakup. That, okay, hearts are broken. Let's see how he can mend the broken hearts. That's just where we are right now.
Do you believe anything can change between a space of 4 days or 5 days? Like, for instance, if I've made up my mind I'm going to vote for this person and all of that, then giving room for more people to come and start making noise all over again, is it going to lead to some kind of confusion?
This election will change this nation.
You are convinced about that?
This election will change this nation. This is where we are deciding the affairs of this nation come the next 4 years and eternity. Whoever is coming in now might not be the Messiah, but I want to assure you that this is what decides how Nigeria is going to go about. Our future depends on this election. So you can't afford to toil with it. People who have traveled, it's unfortunate, they traveled, they didn't make up, but I can assure you that people will still travel. He would have also opened this channel that you can still take 72 hours to collect your PVC. Let that window still open for a little while between now and Wednesday, or even between now and Thursday. You know, people will be a little bit okay. There'll be this a little bit, tension will calm down. People didn't get their PVC. You said people cannot advertise. People should not campaign. You don't do it well. We are not living in a military era. You try and manage situation. You understand? Okay, this is where I am. Let me balance up with this XYZ so that people's attention will be a bit shifted away from. That's where the only way I fault him a little. Maybe he was not properly advised. Maybe they should have advised him a little and said, okay, sir, with due respect, do it this way so that we can calm down the situation.
You don't do. I don't tire for all the things where you do.
You the yarn of patter. Shey you think say na only you fit buga? I go show you.
This matter don't pass, be careful. You dey show yourself all these years, I just dey look you. This time, you go know the kind of person where
I've been the watch as you dey try scatter my future.
The future where I dey try
organize for myself.
Small. Na him you dey try kill, abi?
Na to kill, scatter, and destroy my paroles always do your agenda, abi? Oh, but you know, Fito, not this time.
I don't set my own agenda.
I know how where your agenda go fit past my agenda.
Because my agenda strong past your agenda.
For this election, the agenda now.
It's our future.
No violence.
Just vote.
Set the agenda for this election. No violence, just vote.
Yeah, welcome back. The program is still Nigeria Today, and we are discussing the postponed 2019 general elections. And with me on stage is still Mr. Ilesobi Andrew, he's a politician and a public affairs analyst. Now let's look at a critical issue that keeps reverberating when we talk about this postponement of elections. A lot of people are of the view, are of the opinion that desperation from politicians, those in and those out of power, wanting to get in by all costs or wanting to stay on by all costs, one way or the other contributed to what we have right now in the politics. What is your take on that?
Well, like excuse me, I like to use this narrative of if you like football, you find out that the person in the box and the one outside the box, the one outside the box believe he can do better than that person in the box. They can just pass a little ball to you. For you to hit the net might be very difficult because you only know how you're feeling. Yes. And at the end of the day, you find out the man behind the box is shouting, oh, this person is this person is this. So that I will not use a very terrible word, this person is this. Yeah. But that is not how it is. You don't know what that person inside is going through. And Nigerian factor, when you're a leader in Nigerian factor, you have too many people around you. Those who loves you and those who pretend as if they love you. Those who, as a leader, people can't even give you good advice. Do you know that? Most politicians out there today, nobody gives them good advice. But because they are your cronies, you cannot believe that the advice they are giving you is not true advice. You believe that whatever they advise you is the truth. But some of them, you even advise them, they don't take the advice. So this is how it plays. So those that are outside will be feeling aggrieved that this is what's supposed to come to me, come to us as a community or whatever at this time. And the man on the hot seat, I'm like, okay, I'm taking my time to go here and here and here so that I can get it done in the right way. Or you find out that you have too many advisors. How many will you listen to at the same time? Well, because you are the paymaster, you also need these people around you because it makes your health swell. Yes. A little. That is a Nigerian factor.
All right, like still on the activities of politicians that during elections generally. Normally we have campaigns and all of that, but then we have some negative activities that crop up. And one way or the other points back to politics. Like the issue of Anambra, burning of electoral materials. We had the issue of laying of sensitive materials en route to some aid locations. Things point out to activities of politicians who want either to scuttle the process or to ensure that it goes in their favor, either in their favor or maybe in the favor of their political party, so to speak. Now, Nigerians and Nigeria, destroying Nigerian process and all of that. How does all this thing boil down? Are we really ready for democracy?
If you look at it, we are going to get it right. So these are the process of getting it right. In 1999, which is about 20 years now, things are changing, either for good, for better or for worse, whichever way you look at it. But it's not the way it was as at that time. So we are moving on. I do not want to believe that we are moving backward. We are moving up. As we are climbing, we find out that a lot of things are happening. The political toggery is not as intense as it used to be before. Then when you come up and somebody tells you, go and do this for me, you can as well tell, where are your own children? Can't they do this for me? You understand? Then you find out that some politician will incite others and say, look, no, it has to be me, 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 me. What have you contributed to that community that you're asking somebody to come and stuff ballot boxes and bring it for you, Willie, or go and burn? At whose detriment is it that look at Anambra for instance. Why burning the INEC office? Why burning the PVC? What do you? What do you? The Abia State? And the Plateau? What do you intend to gain? You understand? Either you burn or you don't burn. A winner will emerge.
Sometimes the view that is to ensure that there are staggered elections, that elections doesn't hold in some places, so that some certain political parties will benefit.
When I hear things like that, it amazes me, because if you look at it, you can't just sit down now and say, okay, let's take Plateau State for an instance. The ruling party is in charge. In a particular area now, you now go to Bono. Who is suffering? You won't get your PVC until in the next 4 years. So you have disenfranchised a lot of people by burning that place. And whatever it is, whatever is left, INEC will count. That means you didn't vote. So you suffer and you're going to wait. So who is feeling the pain of burning a particular place? It doesn't really make any sense to me.
So you don't see any grand conspiracy in all of this that's playing out right now?
Have you noticed?
Just straight plain politics?
Yes, have you noticed that anytime politics, in the political era, when politics is playing up, this is where you hear all this news. You keep hearing, it makes headline. Why is it not making headline before now? So why is it making headline now? That's okay.
There's something greater at stake.
Yes. Why is it making headline now? Is any politician now, as I'm talking to you, will tell you, okay, go and do this. You just go out and do it. And you're not thinking straight, your own. Who doesn't want? I want to be the president of this nation too. So why should I mar somebody's opportunity? You understand? It will play back. So why should I mar somebody's opportunity by, because okay, I don't want this person to win. So when it comes to my own turn too, it will be the same way. And if you look at it, I don't think it's really going on well for a particular politician to say, okay, go and do this, or go and burn. We are going to pay for it. Nigeria will pay for it. Our taxpayers' money, we will use it to pay for that particular. It might not come on to us directly, but indirectly it affects us.
Now, what PVCs were bonds, it belongs to people.
To people.
Now, electoral materials destroyed, it would have been used by people. Now, some people have traveled, they've incurred a lot of costs. And
some people have died.
Some people have died along the way. Some people have been disenchanted by the whole thing. Do you see all of this playing out in the issue called voter apathy? Do you foresee maybe a reduction in people coming out in the process? Does it kind of remove confidence in the process and the ability of the whole electoral process panning out to ensure free and fair, credible polls?
Well, I don't want you to use free, fair, and credible, but just use that there will be election.
Okay.
Yes.
But free, fair, and credible is the basis of any election for it to be accepted.
That's the word. The word comes free, fair, and credible. But let us use there will be an election. Let's take the word free. Let's take the word fair. And let's take the word credible away. But there will be an election. Okay. That is what I want you to look at. Because what happened on Saturday has taken a lot away from people. Like I said to you, it's like breaking a virgin's heart on Valentine's Day. I'm sorry to use that word. I don't know if you understand. It's like breaking a virgin's heart on Valentine's Day. So there will be an election. Definitely there will be an election. International community are looking at Nigeria. Nigeria is in the eyes of the storm. Nigeria is like a tiger now. You're looking into the eyes of the tiger. If you move, the eye of the tiger moves. You understand? That is where we are. That is where we are now. But there will be an election. A winner will emerge. You understand? But what happened on Saturday, you cannot say there's going to be free. There's not going to be, we can't say there's going to be fair, and we can't say there's going to be a credible election because hearts have been broken. Those that travel, will they travel again? Schools that were on break, will they be on break again? You understand? This is the fear. Is that what they want to create so that there will be no free, there will be no fair, and there will be no credible? This is my own opinion. You understand? That's why I look at it. Okay. Free, fair, credible, but there will be an election.
All right, if you're going forward, if you have to advise INEC on getting it right, what exactly will you be telling them about the Saturday's 23rd of February?
You have 4 years to prepare. You don't go to bed. INEC is not supposed to be sleeping after every election. You depend on only one channel to move your material. Definitely, you will fail. You should be planning your mistakes of the past. How do you correct what makes you fail before? So what I would advise INEC to do in order to get it right this time around, okay, the moment before the election is over, they should not sleep. They should be on the hot seat. Where did we fail? There should be a recording that, okay, they play it back. How did we fare in FCT? How did we fare in Kogi? How did we fare in Kaduna? How did we fare in Plateau, Niger? Okay, these pockets of state that are in this North Central. Now to the hinterland in Bayelsa, across the river, how did we fare? What did we not do right? So you need to start working on it now because you have another 4 years to do. So what I would advise them to do is, that means they have used in failing. They should use that means now and say, okay, let us try not to fail the way we fail. So that we'll not just wake up by 3 a.m. where people are enjoying their sleep and we break their heart. Just use this word. I am sorry. People want to hear you saying it. Yes. You understand? It goes a longer way. Not just say it. Each time they ask him to say, if you go back to my last word, the way maybe the phrases he used were different. He has apologized. Yes, you apologize, yes. But just use the word, I am sorry. It goes a longer way. People will find a place in their hearts to forgive you easily so that we can move on. He has done it, he has done it. Forces that made him to cancel it, we don't want to know, because probably you might have to explain for a very long time. But just use this word, I am sorry, this has to happen. Logistics reason. Of course, they blame it on logistics. But history will continue to trade it that on a day like this is what happened. You understand? But he apologized.
Right.
He said he was sorry.
Finally, in line with what this last frame of thought, logistic reasons and whatever explanations he had to give, a school of thought existed that said INEC is overburdened, INEC needs to be unbundled, INEC needs to be independent in terms of constitution of INEC, who appoints who and who takes orders from who, so that they are operating as an individual and independent entity that will be able to deliver free, fair, and credible elections. Maybe not this time, maybe in future, but in Nigeria, free, fair, credible elections. So, what would be your take on that?
Okay, if I were given this opportunity to tell the government that they should free INEC, let them be independent, so that they will not take order. But for Nigeria now, we are not ready.
So, as in a nutshell, INEC is still not independent.
INEC is not independent. That's why you see INEC takes order. INEC depend. Remember, independent. You understand? So they still depend. If we get to the right page, the right time, we'll open the page and rewrite the history of INEC, so that INEC can be independent. They don't depend on anybody before they do whatever they like. But for now, we are not yet there.
So
is
there a possibility that this postponement was issued at the order of somebody somewhere?
Well, you can read in between the lines. Let us read in between the lines. The heat was on. The pressure was on. I'm sure you were there at the International Conference Center. Yes. I was hovering around too, monitoring just to make sure, okay, what do we get? Because it's a good news we're waiting for. Yeah. Or be it as it may, the news came, either good or bad. The news came, so we took it the way it came. So I hope in the future we get it right by telling INEC to align INEC to be independent on their own. Their funds, how they channel it, how they use it.
The operational modality.
Yes, it will help. If you look at it, even INEC, their funds came late. So it's a lot of things were really hampered. So we hope that in the near future, very, very soon, or before the next 2021-23, INEC will be independent on their own. It will be better for us.
Thank you very much. Ilesomi Andrew, politician and public affairs analyst, has been our guest on Nigeria Today. He has shared his thoughts on the postponed 2019 general elections, and he believes that, come what may, these elections will redefine Nigeria, will change the political annals of this country, and he also believes that INEC, in the real sense of the word, needs to act independently of whatever forces, of whatever orders or authorities that be. And Nigerians, 23rd of February still remains a date with destiny. Please, all you have to do is go out there with your PVC and vote. Vote your conscience. And while voting, observe every rule of engagement, every rule of the game. No violence, no thuggery. Nigeria belongs to all of us, and Nigeria will always remain. That's the much we can take on Nigeria Today. Thanks for watching. I am Charles Ibe.
recently, the much-anticipated general elections, which was slated for February 16th, was postponed to February 23rd, 2019. Now, this did not go unnoticed, as it has since been generating lots of controversies and mixed reactions from various arms and Nigerians in general. Now, today on Issues of the Moment, we will be discussing the postponement and its ripple effect. I am Eunice Johnson, and of course, I am not alone. I have a guest to discuss this with. You get to meet him right after the break. Stay tuned. If you just joined in, the program is still Issues of the Moment, and if you give us some minutes of your time, would make it worth your while. Election postponement, matters arising, is our focus today, and my guest is Ben Shemeng, Acting Director Training, Voice of Nigeria. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been quite a while, and seeing you, you know, after such a long time.
Sure, and of course with these elections, some will have to go to some corners, some crannies here and there.
Exactly.
To look for news and all that stuff, and for that reason, yes, one could go hiding.
Or
in search
it's
for news.
Much needed.
Yes.
Much needed. Now
Yeah.
we're talking about the election postponement. You know, a lot of people have been saying lots and lots of things. And after what looked like a long-term preparation by INEC, everything seemed to be set, no traces of postponement in sight and all of that. And then suddenly, a few hours to elections, we hear them come up and just say, okay, we cannot do this at such short notice. Why do you think this was so?
Well, it was so because it was no longer fake news. It was real, as in real, because the Independent National Electoral Commission took into cognizance quite a lot. Of course, they've explained to many Nigerians, the international community, and of course, their reasons are on the, before the public domain. And even when we hear that, they're talking about the weather, and of course, they will tell you, or like they say, aeroplanes will not take off, neither will they land. And if therefore aeroplanes were being used to ferry what they call for freight in terms of carrying sensitive electoral materials, if they couldn't take off, it also follows that they will not land over there. But what we're also hearing from the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency is that, look, up to Friday, the airspace was free and it was good for either takeoff or landing. But as a layman, for sure, I know that the weather those few days was terrible, and you can hear from my voice, I had catarrh from that, but that is not, that's just on my own side. But again, if it was so, there was the need for that election to be shifted, so to speak. And if you check, it's not the first time. Jega those days had to shift it. And at a point, he was moving on, insisting he was going to conduct the elections around the 36 states of the Federation and Abuja. And the security agency said, look, some local governments in some states of northeastern part of the country were still within or occupied by Boko Haram. So they needed to rout those guys, get them squeezed out of that area to enable INEC to conduct the elections. But even then, INEC was still insisting they could do it. But they said, okay, there will be no guarantee for the election officials, for the materials, and of course, we need Nigerians to vote. And so that ensured the calling for a meeting of the National Council of State. All former leaders were there, former Chief Justices of the Federation were there, Senate President, and other notable key stakeholders. They all were there, and the reasons looked so convincing, and so INEC had to postpone it. And in this case, INEC again came up to say these elections will have to be shifted by a week, and I think that it's worth it. Let's
So you think the reasons they gave for the postponement were justified?
I am
because perhaps the problem, sorry to interrupt you there, but perhaps the problem might not be postponement, but the time of the space, the span of postponement.
Now, if you also look at something that the INEC officials are not telling us, like we have accusations and counter-accusations. this party was already rigging. The other one was already rigging. And I think that the INEC leadership would want to come out clean, as it is said. He who goes to equity must go with clean hands. And if INEC, after conduct of elections, they want to also say, look, we gave you credible and acceptable elections. Therefore, if really they probably saw something within the security agencies that they are not also telling us, they decided to take some people by surprise. Speed, accuracy, and surprise are elements in administration. If you therefore realize that some people were already planning something, we saw that some people, ballot papers were being, result sheets were being flouted here and there. If that was the case, it means INEC actually took some people by surprise.
So it was more or less a strategy. You might want to call it a strategy.
I tend to believe so. I don't work for them.
Okay, but then, you know, over the time, I've come to know you actually as a defense correspondent, apart from your portfolio. Now, in your capacity as a defense correspondent for quite a very long time, what do you think is the security implication of this postponement?
Well, it's for everybody to go to the drawing board. It's for everybody to also go to as it were, look at if they had done it that time, what would have been the consequences? If there were lapses that would have been realized, it is now time for people to kind of see what would have been a kind of a loophole, look at the pitfalls that would have happened, and kind of sealed them, so to speak. It has given them time to look at that. And again, if you even look at the Northeast, even though Boko Haram was also carrying, they intensified the attacks, but the security agencies also came in very hot on them, and we have also seen that many of them have either been killed or arrested. So to speak, it's like they want to have what you call a stable polity, where, of course, the terrain is safe for everyone and suitable for everyone, yes. So I think that the security agencies, if they were not prepared, there is time for them to be prepared.
To re-prepare.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, now a lot of people had prepared in different capacities for the elections. You had some cases where people had to even travel to their states because they wanted to exercise their franchise. Some did election shopping and all that. So now, what exactly do you think is the impact, the economic impact generally of the postponement?
Yes, Eunice, let's start from a very light mood. I saw some people doing some the usual stuff on Facebook. I said, look, welcome to a free Saturday, where there is no election, no wedding, no burial party, no this, no that, no shopping, nothing. So it's a free Saturday for everybody. But talking seriously, if you can imagine how many flights that would have come into the country or gone out of the country, within the country and outside, that money is lost. You can also imagine hotel businesses, that is gone. Markets, if you look at it, those who would have either sold some items or bought some items, that is also lost. And it's huge loss. I can see that the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the DG Moda Yusuf, is already calculating in billions what Nigeria has lost around the federation. And if you also look at it, even socially, where people will gather in the bar beach, have some party, have some fun, and all that stuff. So that didn't take place. So it entails on the economy. And if you also look at taxi business, transportation, intra-city, intercity, these things, everything, Nigeria was just been shut down. It was like secondary school boarding, where you say light out, everybody goes to bed, so to speak. But again, the economy actually suffered in all of this. And if you check, yes, some people are also calculating, some schools had to give what they call midterm break. Some also look for fear of the unknown. We can't guarantee your children being in school. parents come pick your school, your children. And so they all rushed, pick, and with the hope that they will return by tomorrow. Here again, people are at a loss. Should they return? Should they call this? You know, it's a big kind of a thing, yes.
It is, it is. I agree with you on that. But then we still have a lot to discuss. But then let's take a quick break. Stay with us. You're still watching Issues of the Movement, and before we went on a break, we were talking about the election postponement, its impact on the Nigerian economy, and, you know, general issues regarding the postponement. And my guest has been Ben Shemang,
Thank you very much.
Acting Director Training, Voice of Nigeria. Yeah. Now, moving on, just like speculations have come up, you know, a lot of people have been speculating that there might be some sort of political undertone to this postponement. What's your take on that?
Yes, like I've said before, just like the two main political parties have been accusing INEC. Look, INEC is working for APC. No, INEC is working for PDP. In that case, okay, INEC decided to bring the surprise. Like I said, speed, accuracy, you know, came in. If actually there were some people working behind the scene, also recall that former President Olusegun Obasanjo was saying that he had smelled a rat. Some things were happening behind the scene. Election voting had started before the election day. And if that was the case, and we hardly can say what security agencies were also saying, what they fed the INEC authorities with. For that reason, INEC would just feel, look, let's come out clean. And they decided. After all, if you look at the law says, conduct your elections at least how many days to swearing in. So they still have ample time. Even if they had postponed by a month, there was still that very time. So I think that INEC performed within the confines of the law as stipulated by the Nigerian Constitution and the Electoral Act.
So you're saying since they did whatever decision they took, since it is within the ambit of the law, they are on the right track?
Yeah, they're on the right track, and that's why, you see, no matter who is crying over this, we still have one nation called Nigeria. In as much as you are a Nigerian, I think that we should, it has happened. So what do you want to do?
You can see Nigerians actually, just like you referred to the memes and, you know, funny things that they came up with. We're just moving on and trying to flow with the moment.
We should not, I think we shouldn't try to weaken a national institution like INEC. If we make them look like some unserious agencies, of course the elections too will not be a serious one. And you can imagine the perception in Nigeria, if you also, I mean outside this country. Of course the country is always suffering from what they call perception index. When they say poverty, they begin to say Nigeria. In terms of insecurity, they say Nigeria. Where you say it's not safe to have birth to young babies, they say Nigeria. All sorts of perception index, corruption, they say we are there. Everything, we just are there. When are we coming out of these things? And again, postponement of elections, it has become a thing with us. But if we get it right, let's get it right. Exactly. I want to see it as a teething problem. We are a kind of walking, running to now fly to that zenith. I think it's worthy.
Quite inspiring there. Okay, now, many people are of the opinion that this postponement might affect the results, the outcome, as compared to if it were to have been held on 16th of February. Now it's on 23rd. Now, do you see this postponement affecting the outcome of the result of the 23rd elections?
I will see the postponement as affecting maybe voter turnout.
Exactly, that's one of them.
Yes, if it had been done on the 16th, the kind of people were the zeal was there. People were moving physically. Some traveled out to ensure they vote, and some actually got some days off from their places of work to ensure they vote. Now they have to be called back, come and resume work.
And of course, they won't want to travel again.
Exactly. So the turnout, I hope it will not be very low. That's the only way I think that it could affect it.
Well, that's a serious impact, actually.
Sure. But you see, democracy is still a game of number, where you have the whole federation. There must still be a winner, so to speak. Okay. But truly, I don't think that because it was shifted, the result of this election will be brought to question. I doubt that much.
Okay, now we hear that INEC has retrieved some sensitive materials that were already distributed to several areas and different states of the Federation. And we have here many prominent civil groups like Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, and the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, IPAC, raised concerns about the safety and integrity of the distributed materials, such as result sheets, card readers, and all that. Now that they have been retrieved, you know, they were out there already. Now they're raising concerns that there might be issues as regards that. What's your take on this?
Well, everyone is entitled to his opinion, and after all, if you look at all the society-based organizations, theirs is to mount pressure to ensure the correct thing is done. If everybody goes to bed, of course, INEC will simply take every Nigerian for a ride. But having said so, I think that, yes, INEC is also promising some things. One, they're saying they have to reconfigure the card readers. Okay. They have to also look at these result sheets. And supposing suddenly, if that one was blue, it now becomes red. So these are things INEC will do, just the way they took Nigerians by surprise by ensuring that there was a shift. They could as well also fly a new kite. If, like I said, the previous one was blue, now they can change it to yellow. And so that tells you some
that
people
they're on top
again.
Of their game,
Exactly. So I think that let us simply give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's see what they can do. Let Nigerians.
Perhaps the questioning should come after.
Exactly, but that does not mean that we shouldn't hold them to account. We shouldn't ask questions, probing questions. We should make them to think. So that all these observations Nigerians are making, we'll put them on their feet, and of course, like we always say in the newsrooms, thinking on your feet. The issue is so serious that you don't sit down. You stand up thinking and talking and moving. And so that is the job of INEC. You hit the ground running because all eyes are on Nigeria.
As it stands now, surprisingly, it was said that the US and the UK backed INEC on this postponement decision. They're like, we're in support of the decision to postpone the elections as far as it puts everything in the right perspective. What does this say?
Just like I said of the CB, society-based organizations, NGOs, it's still the same pressure. If you had NGOs at home mounting pressure, now you're having a pressure coming from outside. All that they want is, let there be a process that is clear, a process that is legal, and if there was a postponement because of issues of this nature, logistics, environment, and all that, yes. Therefore, they can't say, okay, the next one should be bad. It's obvious that they will say, okay, conduct free and fair elections acceptable by all. So I don't see it as a kind of undue interference, but rather I see it as pressure being brought to bear, both at home and abroad, to ensure that Nigerians actually get what they want. For long, Nigeria has been marking time, and let us move on. I mean, moving on, whoever is advising, whoever is bringing pressure, in as much as it's not about an invasion militarily, I think that we should just take that in good faith and move ahead.
Okay, let us round off with this question. Now, how do you think this postponement would affect the image of Nigeria before the international community? Like you said, everyone is watching, all eyes, all lenses are on Nigeria right now as it is. And so, postponement and all of that, how do you think we look now before the international community?
Well, Eunice, if you fetch water to cook food and it's one chicken went and poured some of the water down, and we decided to get clean water, made nice dinner for everybody, I think that we should not dwell so much on the water that got poured on the ground. But what am I trying to say? Honestly, if we can just get it right, like it said, all eyes are on Nigeria. If Nigeria gets it right, honestly, ECOWAS will get it right. If Nigeria gets it right, Africa will get it right. If Nigeria gets it right, the diaspora, especially the Africans abroad, they always hit their chest and say, yes, Nigeria. Yes,
just like in 2015, exactly. Everybody were hailing
exactly.
the result.
And so if you check the international media, everybody, look, the searchlight is all on Nigeria. Would they get it right? This black nation, most populous nation, you know, the giant of Africa, which we are, the first economy of Africa, will they get it right? That is always the question. So I think that the postmortem is to also make it, look, let's look at what went wrong and correct all of this, and, so that we can have ideal elections acceptable by opposition. And let's begin to see whether those defeated will pick up the phone one day and say, oh, congratulations, you have defeated me. We are looking for that period so that we don't begin to have all these too many numerous court cases, you know, where some people use state funds to execute or prosecute others. Let us simply begin to accept results as they are. You have been defeated, you have been defeated. Pick the phone and call your opponent. Congratulations.
Congrats. Yeah, most of all, what we hope for is peace. Peace should reign. And that's the much we can take on the program. My guest has been Ben Shemang, the Acting Director, Training, Voice of Nigeria. Thank you very much for being part of the program.
Thanks.
Yeah, and we've been discussing the postponement of the 2019 general elections. Hopefully, it will be for the greater good. I am Eunice Johnson. Thank you very much for your time.
Instead of pondering what the best strategy is to get something done, you just do it. When you focus on getting it done, you will find ways to get it done better as you are getting it done. This is from the Credo on Television Nigeria. My name is Sandra Guana. So much time can be wasted as a project or a task just by becoming overwhelmed